Hey, what's up guys? Been a long time since I've made a video on being in essence. Sorry I've been really busy lately. I've been taking a look into some other stuff like, Aristotle's logic. I've been giving myself a recap of that. And as you can see in my last video, the methods of proof conversion, I'm actually going to post a video on Aristotle's logic and another one on ecthesis, which is a alternate procedure of proof by Aristotle. Um, I've also been doing some other stuff like I've taken an interest in a book on the consolation of philosophy by Boethius, and I've been really wanting to read it, so I'm gonna probably read it later. Um, but yeah, and so let's get started into this video. Today we're covering chapter 4. There's 2 more chapters left after this, so bear with me. But this is translated as on being in essence. If you did not know, I just put it in the Latin because why not? Okay, so chapter 4 is going to be seeing how essences exist in separate substances. Now, do not get confused by the term separate substances. Aquinas just refers to these as like intelligences, souls, or just simple substances. Like angels, by the way. And so Aquinas starts off by addressing Avicenna. That's another philosopher. He was a Muslim philosopher. He's not really well known. I mean, you can look him up, but he's not very well known. But Avicenna, he posited a composition of form and matter, just like how composite substances. He introduced that composition into the intelligences and soul. But the soul and intelligences are substances that are, separated from matter. They're excluded from matter. This is demonstrated because notice that a form is intelligible when it's separated from matter, and such forms are made actually intelligible by an intelligent substance, which is the mind. And so in any intelligent substance, there is a complete absence of matter, and it doesn't have a material part itself. And this intelligent substance is not like forms that pressed on matter, that are like, impressed in it. Now, matter impedes intelligibility. So it makes a thing less intelligible. It makes a form less intelligible, and one cannot claim that only bodily, which is, corporal matter, impedes intelligibility, since corporal forms are intelligible when they are abstracted from matter. So this is like one of the basic fundamentals of logic. It starts off with simple apprehension. We abstract the notion of essence from, composite things or corporal things. Thus, it's not the form, but matter itself that impedes understanding. So there is no composition of form and matter in the soul or the intelligences. But in separate substances, there is a composition of form and existence, or act and potency. So intelligence have form and existence, and in this scenario or case, form is considered the quiddity or simple essence. Now, if you haven't read the Summa Theologica, I'm trying to remember. I just forgot my words. Oh, yeah. So Aquinas does say, or actually, you don't even have to read the Summa Theologica to know this. But in Thomism, existence is seen as the actuality of a thing as well. So before a thing even existed, right? Remember, its essence is distinct from its existence. Its essence is in potentiality to its existence, which it could possibly receive or potentially receive, and so it is actualized. So everything that exists has some level of actuality, because if it's just pure potency, then it's just potential being, which is presumed as non-being, right? And so in this scenario or case, form is considered the quiddity or simple essence. And this can be shown. So whenever two things are related to each as cause and effect, the cause can exist without the effect, but not the other way around. Although there are some like cases of necessity, that you might want to bring up, but I think that's irrelevant to this point. But in this way, form and matter are related just like this, because form causes or actuates or gives existence to matter, right? Matter by itself without form is prime matter, which is pure potency, and matter can't exist without form, since prime matter is presumed to be non-being. Now, if we do find forms that can't exist, I also forgot to cover and so form can exist possibly without matter, but matter can't exist without form. So if we do find forms that can't exist without matter, that's only because they're so distant from the first principle, which is God, and they have more potency than the other forms, right? So in intelligent substances, which is actually going to be covered in the later slide, there is a multitude of intelligences or forms based on the varying degrees or gradation of potency. And so the forms nearest to the first principle, that is God, who is pure act, these forms are subsisting forms without matter. The intelligences are this type of subsisting forms. So the essences or quiddities are just the forms themselves. And so the essence of composite substances is form and matter, while the essence of simple substances, form alone. Two differences occur as well. The essence of composite substances can be signified as either as a whole or as a part. This happens because of the designation of matter, and so the essence of composite substances is not in every way predicated of the composite thing in of itself. And we cannot say man is his own quiddity, or we cannot say that Socrates is his own essence, because he's more than that. Remember, in Aquinas' philosophy, a man is not his own essence. He's more than that. He's individuated by matter, right? The nature Socrates has is particular. It's individuated. However, the essences of simple substances can only be signified as a whole because there's nothing beyond the form to receive, the essence, as in the case of matter in composite substances. So the simple substance essence can be predicated of it. So we can say the simple substance is its own essence, but we cannot say that likewise to composite substances. Oh man, my mouth is really dry. And so Avicenna also says in Metaphysics 5.5 that the quiddity of a simple thing is the simple thing itself. That's just to back it up. Aquinas cited him. And so the second difference is that because composite substances, essences, are received in designated matter, they are multiplied by division of matter. So this is how you get individuals in a species. But simple substances, essences, are not received in matter. There is no multiplication, and so among separated substances, we do not find many individuals in one species, but rather there are as many species as many individuals. Now, although simple substances are alone without matter, they are not absolutely simple in the sense that God is, that is, being pure act. Rather, simple substances have an admixture of potential. Thus, it is famously stated, whatever is not in the concept of the essence or the quiddity comes from outside the essence and makes a composition with the essence, because no essence can be understood without the things that are its parts. But every essence or quiddity can be understood without understanding anything about its existence. I can understand what a man is or what a phoenix is, and nevertheless not know whether it has existence in reality. And so going back to the whole thing about simple substances, there is no multiplication. So there is no multiplication of angels in a species, rather that each angel is its own species. Thus, in Thomism, essence and existence, which is also coined as esse, is really distinct. That is, it's a real distinction, not just in the mind, but in reality. But if there is no real distinction of essence and existence in something, then it is self-sufficient and subsisting being. Fun fact, nominalists like Occam reject the real distinction between essence and existence. And I've actually read a paper recently, I think it was a scholastical paper, and it was talking about how Domingo Banez upholds the essence and existence real distinction. So that's important because if things essence and existence are not really distinct, then their essence is to exist, thus implying that everything is basically practically God, which is impossible. And so there can be a purification or several amount of something, except by added differences, just as the nature of the genus is multiplied in its species. Remember, the genus itself is undivided until multiplied by its species. And likewise, the species is multiplied in individuals since the form is individuated in each individual. Like Socrates, John, me, right? And now, this is what you need to take from here. If a thing's own essence is its existence, then this existence will not receive an addition of a difference. For, if there were added a difference, it would be not only existence, but existence and also some form or something beyond this as well. this gets to an important refutation of the question, why can't there be multiple gods, right? If there were multiple gods, Aquinas argues, they would have to differ, meaning one thing belongs to another that doesn't belong to the other. But then that would mean one god would be more perfect or less perfect than another, which is impossible. So multiple gods or multiple pure act, beings that don't have their essence distinct from their existence is inconsistent, because a pure act being that has its essence really the same as its existence is only uniquely one. And then there's actually another Summa Theologica question that pops up. I think it was an article. It was the question whether the concept of one adds anything to being. And Aquinas says, no, because the concept of one just means undivided being, which is a negative concept. And so any other things, remember, anything that is not God is God's creature. So in everything else, everything else, and every other creature and anything that is not God has its existence really distinct and separate from its essence or quiddity or nature or form is another. And so in the intelligences, there is existence beyond the form, while the form is its essence. So we say that an intelligence is form and existence. Now, everything that pertains to something either is caused by its principle, that is, one, it's from its nature, or from something. Two, extrinsic. And extrinsic meaning that it's from something else or outside of itself. And so it is impossible in any case that is for a thing's existence to be caused by its own essence. That is excluding God, by the way. We're talking about creatures here. It's impossible in any case for a thing's existence to be caused by its own essence, because that would mean it was its own efficient cause, meaning it would precede itself or be before itself. Additionally, it would be more perfect than itself, which is a contradiction. Therefore, anything that has its existence and its essence is really Therefore, anything that has its existence and essence really distinct from each other receives its existence from another thing that is already existing or from something that's already actual. This leads us to the famous De Ente Et Essentia argument for the existence of God. And I just popped it up right here. Therefore, everything the existence of which is other than its own nature has existence from another. And since everything that is through another is reduced to that which is through itself as to a first cause, there is something that is the cause of existence in all things, in that this thing is existence only. Otherwise, we would have to go to infinity in causes, for everything that is not existence alone has a cause of its existence, as was said above. It is clear, therefore, that the intelligences are form and existence, and have existence from the first being, which is existence alone, and this is the first cause, which is God. And so that's the famous De Ente argument. I will actually post another video on talking about it and all, and formulating a final formulation, as I usually do. Moving on, and everything that receives something from another is in potential with what it receives, and what is received in the thing is called actuality or act. So an essence or form is in potency in relation to existence that it receives from God, and this existence that it receives is its act. So in intelligences, there is potency in act, but not matter and form. But things that are said of intelligences or separate substances and corporal things are said equivocally. That means in different senses. And so intelligences or simple substances, essences are their form, but they receive their existence from God as much as they subsist. And so it is said that they are composed of existence and essence, which I repeated like 1,000 times. Forgive me. Oops. Skip the slide. And there is a multitude of intelligences, since the intelligences have potency in act, and if they had no potency, then it'd be impossible for there to be a multitude. So as Aquinas puts it, there is thus a distinction among separate substances according to their grade of potency, and act such that the superior intelligences that are nearer to the first cause have more actuality and less potency, and so on. And the human soul is the lowest among the intellectual substances, because they have the most potency. And the soul's possible intellect, this just means intellect in potential, is related to intelligible forms, just as prime matter is related to sensible forms. And this is important because our minds are in potential to intelligible forms, which actualizes our minds. And Aristotle also compares the soul to a tablet on which nothing has been written. It kind of sounds similar to the Tabula Rasa by John Locke, but let's not say that they're the same. And so, because our souls have the most potency out of any other intellectual substances, it's very, very closely related or tied to matter. And that is why a material thing, like a body, and a body participates in its existence, in which the soul and the body, there is one existence and one composite thing. But the thing is, the existence of the soul is not dependent on that of the body. Additionally, there are some forms that have so much potency that they cease to exist without matter, right? And among these forms, there is a hierarchy leading to the primary elemental forms, like fire, which are closest to matter and act only through the qualities that shape matter. And so, for example, fire's form acts through heat and dryness to burn wood, but the form itself doesn't act directly, but through these qualities that affect matter. And that's basically the end of this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.